Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we welcome you to another uplifting episode today, which I know y'all are all ready to hear, called Staying Strong During the Storm, because I know y'all might need a little bit of inspiration during these interesting times we're living in. Some of it good, some of it bad. And we're here to help you keep your eye on the eagle, keep flying high, soaring higher, knowing things to do to help you with your health, your immune system, your physical, your spiritual well-being, and to not take your eye off of the light, I guess is a good way to put it. So, Dr. Lewis, can you tell us today a little bit about what you want to talk about and where we're going with this? I know we have a lot of questions that are very random, that there's a whole lot of different questions from a lot of different people. Fortunately, some of these questions came before all of this COVID-19 went into play. So there's some questions that are not everybody's scared type question, but some other questions about some other health issues, because a lot of you are probably tired of hearing about this over and over, which I know we all are. So we're going to try to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to entertain you for a little bit, like some of these artists have been doing that have been so uplifting. So, Dr. Lewis, can you uplift us today?
She always sets me up to be scared that I can't, fulfill, the fantasy of uplifting, I guess. Yeah, I offended a lady yesterday because, she was saying da-da-da-da-da, and she's so full of fear, and it's like her and her husband take massive amounts of stuff. That's why both of them look 20 years younger than what they are, and they have energy like crazy. They really do look 20 years younger than what they are. And I said, I can't believe that most people think that a virus is a lot stronger than God. And it obviously offended her because she was full of fear and chose to stay there. I said, you're doing so much for it. Just take your stuff, ask God to bless it, and move on down the road. Now, if you're not doing much, or you don't know if you're doing the right thing, you're taking sketchy stuff, then yeah, you should be afraid. I just never been much to fall into fear or what the other people, if the crowd's doing it, I'm a little suspect. And, when I say, this couple was taking some really, really, really good stuff, there's another couple that came in with a couple of products that they didn't buy here. And I said, yeah, well, that brand's mediocre on a good day. And they said, what about this? And I had to give them a lesson on loyalty. I said, well, number one is cyanocobalamin, the same thing I told you was wrong with your other thing you were taking from the world-famous doctor. I said, cyanocobalamin's B12. It's not going to work. It has such a low absorption rate. I said, God rewards loyalty. And it's like I slapped him in the face. So as long as you're making good decisions and you're getting your stuff from a trusted source, and not even necessarily me, but there's a lot of people making halfway decisions. And forgive me, Pete, up in Missouri, for going down rabbit trails. It ain't going to change. But I'm going to talk about it. It should be out of your head. It should be out of your spirit. And, it gets really, 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 I think, easy. You have to learn to master your relationships, and I bet Janet's going to get in that in a minute, but you've got to, all this fear and negativity is because you've failed. Yes, I said it. You failed to take charge of your emotions. We have a choice to think good or think bad, and I've said this before. I've been called Pollyanna more than once and in more than one way, and it was not meant as a compliment. It's like, well, let's just wring your hands and worry. I'm going to make a podcast, or not a podcast, Janet. What am I going to do? She's going to film me in a rocking chair worrying. That should stir up things. I hope my grandmother can't hear me from heaven, because I'm going to talk about her. She worried, and it didn't do her damn bit of good except give her arthritis and wrinkly old crippled hands from the worry. You can choose to be happy. I love my grandmother. Lord, I miss her cooking, but she worried. Anyway, you ought to see the video wherever Janet puts it. I think she puts it on Facebook. I'm not sure.
Instagram and Facebook. Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is, and I've talked to people in foreign countries, especially remember this conversation I had with a guy in Denmark. He said, well, you Americans are so stressed because you have too much stuff and you worry about your stuff. And then I quoted a Chinese proverb that says, man with many keys has many worries. And he said, exactly. if we're not over commercialized here in America, and I'm sure this COVID-19 and all the fear and hysteria is going to bring good about, we're going to get still. We're having to stay at home. We're going to get still and know that I am God. If we're not so worried, then why does America, who has about 5% of the world's population, but we snort 50% of the cocaine? I've never done cocaine, and I know most of you have not, but, we consume vast amounts of alcohol. Now, Janet and I don't. We're really kind of light drinkers, and I only talk about it because I'm Baptist, and they told me not to. 50% of the world's cocaine goes to 5% of the world's population. That's scary. And you have to learn to deal with stress, and most of it's just in your head and in your spirit. There's the key. It's how you think. And one time there was a guy that was trying to embarrass me. He said to another friend, says, everything comes easy for Stephen. It's like, I said, no, it don't. I said, yeah, you're right, it does. But it's because I expect to win. When I go to these Ducks Unlimited and NRA banquets, I almost always win a gun. I can't hardly go into casino without coming out ahead. I mean, more times than is statistically possible, and I don't gamble much, but still, it's about having an attitude. It's about spiritual, being spiritual. So what I'm going to say is when we're in fear and doubt, you have to turn to your source. You've got to know God's bigger than a virus. Oh, good Lord. Yes, there's things you need to do. Yes, this is a deal. Yes, it is. But as I said in the last podcast, a wise man foresees danger and takes precautions. That doesn't mean that we're supposed to wallow in our fear. So the easy way to do, and why things come to me so easily, and it does, look at who I'm married to, you'll know I'm blessed. You have to focus on what you want rather than what you have or what you don't want. The people that are sick, the ones that focus on what it would look like, what it would feel like, what they would hear if they were healthy, those people get well much, much more quickly than people that write me a 17-page letter on how bad they feel and 14 years of history. Yes, I want to know that stuff, but throw in these supplements. Do what your medical doctor says, with the drugs and that kind of thing, and expect good things. You have to be inspired. Now, look, what's the root word of inspire? Would be spirit. Then you have to find enthusiasm. The root word of enthusiasm, I think this is Latin, is entheos, which means the spirit within or the nature within. And I got up this morning super, super early. I didn't sleep much. And the first thing that popped in my head was how grateful I am to have somebody by me that's so full of joy. So that's why we should be. She's over going, oh.
Yeah, okay. I guess it was me he was talking about. Or it might have been our dog. I mean, I'm not sure which way.
Thanks for assuming it was you, because you're right. If you think good thoughts, you get good things. It's kind of sort of simple, and people overcomplicate it. So you can choose joy or negativity. Yes, I know. We have bad things happen that, kind of throw us for a loop too. But sometimes you just have to distance yourself from evil or ignorance if they choose to remain stupid and reject you. So you have to look for something. Well, the only reason we want anything in life is because we have a perception that it will make us feel better. So, you feel good when you focus on thoughts that make you feel good. You feel bad if you're trying to take control of the environment around you and you cannot control it. And that's why you feel bad. You can't control it. But if you just relax and go downstream, it's much, much easier. I'll tell you how easy it is. And you can take what I'm saying and use it for your own health, your own positivity, your own mental health, spiritual health, and nutritional health too. One time I went to an NRA banquet, and they had your tickets in a little bin, and they would pull a ticket, and they had 28 guns up on the table. And they said, when we call your name, you come pick out the gun you want. And there was 28 of them, and after 26 numbers were called and names, I walked up. My neighbor says, "Hey, Doc, how are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great." He said, "What are you doing up here?" I said, "I came to get my gun." He said, "They didn't call your name." I said, "I told God thank you for the gun I was going to win." I gave thanks as if it had already occurred. And we can do this with our health too. The next to the last one said, "Dr. Stephen Lewis." And my neighbor says, I said, "I told you." And I got a little Smith & Wesson 380 out of the deal. He couldn't believe it. He said, "I'll buy it from you." I said, "No, you got to give thanks to God. Why would I sell something that God clearly gave me?" And folks, it's really that simple. And yes, Janet and I get challenged too. Yes, there are times that we feel down. And then I've got people like Jonathan that writes me and builds me up. Then I got Alan up in Maine that helps me. Then I've got Gary in Amarillo, and on and on and on. Oh, Kelly in some suburb of Birmingham. Lord, she's my little cheerleader. So you give to me, and I will bust my butt to give you back good things multiplied. It works that way with health, folks. So don't see things as they are. See things, or people don't see things as they are. They see things as they are. I mean, if you're negative, you see negativity. If you're positive, you see positivity. And that's why I quote the scripture, says, "To the pure in heart, all things look pure, but to the defiled, all things look defiled." And if somebody chooses to stay negative, stay defiled, give them a nice hug, even though we're social distancing. Give them a hug, say, "I love you dearly," and then cut the ties.
Or pour some Target GBX or 5-HTP in their drink. We've actually had some spouses that have done that to the other spouse that stayed negative. If you're wondering what that is, 5-HTP is 5-hydroxytryptophan, and we have people that'll open that up and pour it in some people's drinks. And now we have this Target GBX that's a probiotic and makes you happy really quickly. Mm-hmm. So if they stay down and can't get up, you can give them a little boost toward positivity, right?
Yeah. And, we've got GABA. We don't talk about GABA a bunch, but it's for stress, anxiety, and depression. And yes, okay, we're not making any claims about supplements and, health, because somebody in America thinks that our bodies are too stupid to take a good nutrient and create good health. Well, if that's true, then why is the world back ordered, and we can't, the companies that manufacture for us, they can't get the good raw materials fast enough, and that's why right now we got 15 things on back order. So folks, even though you can't claim anything for these supplements as far as disease processes, the world knows better, because your body's created by God. Yeah, I get a lot of flack for saying that. I'm not going to stop, Jonathan. I promise you I won't.
I think it's kind of cool, though, in the midst of all of this, we talk and we talk and we talk and we try to help educate about natural supplements. And it's like there's so many people, we're so disappointed sometimes because we think, well, that person was going to do it and then they don't do it. And we're like, well, I don't know what we could have said more to make them change their mind. And since all this has happened, I don't know if it's being scared or what it is, but it's like people have woken?
Yeah.
They woke up.
That's East Texas. You can say
woken
anything,
up,
make it work.
Woke up, and they are buying products in droves, and they're clients of ours that I haven't seen in years, and they're coming back and they're trying to be healthy. I hope they maintain that health once this scare is over, because the people that have already had a running start at this and have already got a lot of nutrition in, which there are a lot of them out there,
yes,
have a way better chance of never having it to start with, because they're coming in now and going, what else can I add in? I'm like, you're pretty much covered. You're doing good. And I'm really proud of the ones that are now trying to do something with their health, which is a big reason why so many of these things are back ordered now. I mean, from the company, and literally you're going to see a variety of things happening on our website. We tried to put it on there to kind of warn you what was going on, but in a nutshell, some of the companies that we're getting some of these products from, they're coming and going so quickly that they don't have time to put our Green Wisdom Health label on the bottle. So you're going to see different names than what you were used to. We're trying to keep it simple by putting it with the product that was that original product with our name on it. We just have there's just a whole lot of change going on.
Here's what it is, folks. Janet and I do a lot of work for you, and especially the ones that are uplifting to me. I said something to a guy yesterday, and I see him out there now putting things in the back of my truck that I asked him for and said, I'd be glad to pay you for it. And he says, no, Doc, you do so much for me. And he's putting things in the back of my truck. I could pay him $100 and be happy to pay him, but he won't take it. So go out and give to people. And as Janet said, we hope the motivation is because you want to be healthy. But, I think, Janet, really and truly, a lot of this, they're ordering like crazy. And we've grown phenomenally in the last 2.5 years, and we mostly kept up. We're struggling because we are going through an awakening, and I think it's exciting, but I think people are so fearful, and I think one of the scariest things about this COVID-19 is eating my own cooking.
I know. I have a Ninja, some kind of pot that does everything, and it's so huge. I'm intimidated by it, so I tell Dr. Lewis, I'm like, let's just go to one of these restaurants. They need help right now. We'll just get it to go because I'm scared to cook anything in it. So he definitely didn't marry me for my cooking. So. No,
but you got that joy-filled smile, honey. And the thing about it is there are people losing sleep. We got stuff for that. I mentioned GABA, and Easy Relax is a big, oh my God, seller. Janet mentioned the, what'd you mention? 5-HTP. Mm-hmm. If you're having more cups of coffee than you have hours of sleep, one of the best things you could take is called pantothenic acid complex. And these are the calming B vitamins, but it has cordyceps in it, Eleutheria, rhodiola. But cordyceps, and I've said this before, and on other podcasts too, cordyceps has been used in Chinese or traditional Chinese medicine for about 5,000 years to be really supportive of the respiratory system.
Yeah, and that happens to be one of the products in Immune Essentials, one of the ingredients in Immune Essentials that is sold out right now. And that's one of the reasons it's in the mushroom family. They've been sold out, but it's in pantothenic acid. Nobody has hit that one as bad yet because they don't know that. So because you guys are our favorite listeners.
When one of the preachers came in the other day, he said, I need that pantothenic acid complex. I says, is it working? He said, I don't know. My wife says I'm nicer.
But we also want to make sure we get to some of these questions as well. One thing that was kind of funny, we are practicing social distancing in our office. Most of our stuff is online, so we don't have that issue to start with. But I
hugged a lady yesterday, and she liked her freaked out.
That was the one.
I said, good Lord.
She opened the door, and there were 3 of us there. It was me, Brandy, who works here, and another man. And she didn't know the other man. And she said, I'm scared to come in. And I said, well, he's a preacher, so does that make him safe? And she was like, oh, okay then. So then there were 4 of us. So then Dr. Lewis hugged her, which made it 5. But we are under,
freaked her out.
under the amount we're supposed to have per square footage. So, Dr. Lewis, we're going to get to some of these questions that don't have to do with COVID-19. Well, some of them may, but there's some other ones here we're going to address so we get off into something a little more positive, like you've been doing.
I'm having fun, folks. I'm getting old. I want the next 50 years of my life to be happy.
But we have Alan, who you talked about a little bit ago.
I love that guy.
He had a full knee replacement last year, and he was given a prescription of amoxicillin and told to take 2,000 milligrams, 4 500 milligram pills an hour before any invasive procedure, including a dental cleaning. Will this occasional 2 to 3 times a year use of antibiotics destroy all the good bacteria in my GI tract? Thank you and Janet for all your help in guiding me towards a healthier life.
Of course it will. See? Yeah, Alan. I love that. I told Alan one time, I said, if we lived closer together, we'd be friends. He said, that's funny. I don't even think I have friends. He's such a sweet-spirited guy. It'll destroy your gut bacteria. And yes, you need to do what your doctor tells you to. I just got off some antibiotics because of a stopped up ear, and I'm going to have a virtual visit with the ENT doctor Friday. for my ear. It's like, I don't know how in the hell he's going to look in my ear through the telephone, but we'll see. Yes, take that stuff. Our medical doctors are good people. They're saving your bacon, and then we'll clean up your GI tract later. Yeah, go ahead and take it. It's smart to do that.
Yeah, in Saccharomyces boulardii is a huge one after doing antibiotics. And that one isn't mentioned very often.
Yeah, Saccharomyces boulardii. I always misspell it on Spacebook or the Shooting Straight, but it's a probiotic yeast, and antibiotics doesn't even kill it. You can do that one while you're taking antibiotics.
Cool. I think we might have addressed this last week, or I'm not sure, but quercetin bromelain. Mm-hmm. You know, Jack at Survival Podcast has spoke a lot about quercetin bromelain on his podcast as an immune system enhancer. And
just check it out with Jack Spirko's Survival Podcast. He's way more detailed than I am.
Yeah, and his question was, what's the difference between just straight quercetin and the one that includes bromelain?
Well, and I said on Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis, which I wish more of you would join because we kind of have fun there. Quercetin or quercetin, ever how you want to pronounce it, quercetin, that's another way. When you add the bromelain, 1 + 1 equals the power of about 3 or 4. And one guy, I think it was Andrew, says, "Is that Common Core math?" I said, yeah, probably. But it's the bromelain, and it's got a lot of different enzymes in it. And enzymes are the ones, just think of an enzyme as the key that unlocks the lock, that opens the door to greater things. We've sold out. We get a shipment in tomorrow. Janet bought everything this company would sell us, the maximum, and then Janet, because she's so joy filled, talked them out of 4 dozen more, which is a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know how long they'll last, but they'll be back
3 or 4 days. Y'all better hurry if you want some.
Here's another one that's asking about quercetin and zinc working on viral outbreaks from Jim. Zinc is another one that everybody decided to take nationally, and hopefully this podcast is released today. Hopefully by next week sometime, I will have some more zinc in. It's temporarily out. Like I said, you're going to see on our website, it's going to be like a smorgasbord of things coming and going. I just implore you to keep checking back, because from one day to the next, it may be on and then it may be back off. And as we get it in, we turn it on and off. So don't think it's gone forever. It is coming in as quickly as these people can make it at these companies. They are literally working overtime. They're working on weekends. They're trying to bottle it so that it can get to you as quickly as possible. So thank you for hanging in there. And then Jim wants to know if quercetin and zinc working together, does it work on viral outbreaks?
Well, you can't make any claims, but if you'll go, and I really think you should check out different episodes of Jack Spirko. He talks about the anti-malarial drug and how it actually forces zinc into the system, and then it stops the replication of the virus. And this is Jack talking, and Jack has some informants from way, way super high up in different places. The thing about zinc, we've known that boosts immune system for a long time, and then I told Jack, I said, well, we don't even have zinc because last week Janet scored a dozen of them. They sound like a drug deal. Well, they were gone just like that. They're gone. Sent the last bottle to Eddie up in around Chicago. You're welcome, Eddie. So the thing about it is, yes, you need zinc, but and Jack said, and he's a brilliant man, he says, well, I just tell my people to eat more meat and eat more oysters because it's high in zinc. I said, yeah, the problem is they're not digesting. So you have to have digestive enzymes, and why don't you just take our active multiminerals that has zinc in it, but has a better ratio and balance of minerals, which that's going to come up in another question if we get around to it.
Well, that's kind of why the bromelain quercetin works together so well, because bromelain is a digestive enzyme when it's taken by itself, so it's helping the quercetin get in more effectively, correct? Yeah,
it also goes out and dissolves mucus and all that kind of nasty stuff. And inflammation, the cytokine storm from this virus, or cytokines are involved in, I think, any disease process.
Well, and that's the other thing I wanted you to address, because some of these people think they've got COVID-19, and there is so much green pollen flying around right now that how do you know the difference on whether or not you've got allergies happening or if you're coming down with this bad thing?
Well, you see your primary care physician, get it tested, but here in Longview, we only get one COVID test kit per day. So there's a lot of people more infected. But again, you got to realize your body has an immune system. Do things that boost it. Be happy to start with. That's a good thing. We're afraid to cough, sneeze, scratch, or pass gas because somebody's going to think, "Oh my God, you've got COVID-19."
It's kind of interesting times.
Sorry, that was not proper, was it?
Jason wants to know: is garlic an effective antiviral or immune booster?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, we did cover that one. It's got to be fresh and squished, or it's got to be enteric coated.
Cool. Okay. And then Elena says, can taking magnesium bring on adrenal fatigue by upsetting the balance between it, potassium and sodium?
And Elena, I really appreciate that question very much. And the short answer is yes, but you've got to take everybody and realize that, all this information is filtered through their beliefs, even if it's not necessarily a truth. There can be a difference between beliefs and truth. And so we looked up, it's kind of hard to get, but we finally found that article that Elena was reading, and it talked about balancing magnesium with potassium and sodium. Yes, this lady is sort of true, and that's why I push. I don't sell many minerals separately. We do zinc, selenium, and magnesium, sometimes calcium, but mostly I tell people get on the active multi-minerals, and the active, because they're tracks, TRAACS, that stands for the real amino acid complex system, whatever that means. But this article, Elena, and I read it, yeah, there's flaws in it, in my opinion. And she also said, well, her favorite way is to use magnesium topically, and that's a real big fad right now. It's like, oh, good Lord, I think we ought to throw it in our mouth like God intended. But yeah, it does work topically. There's no doubt about it. But this lady was using hair analysis. Now, okay, if you are a president, owner of a hair analysis company, prove me wrong. Years ago, I did a hair analysis. I got my hair, put two different names on it, two different sets of symptoms. It came back, and the hair analysis with the same dadgum hair matched 40%. I did it about a year later, and even though it's the same hair, it matched 50% of one, matched 50% of the other. Okay, I did it again. Yeah, about 30 years later. I did it not just a few months ago, and that's the trash truck, if y'all can hear it. And they're essential, too, thank God. I did a hair analysis, and I sent it off, and I waited a few weeks and sent the same hair off. And one of them said, oh, my God, you've got incredibly high copper, and that's not really a good thing. The other one said I had high copper, but it was at an incredibly different amount. They both said I had high copper, or these two hair samples, but it varied so much. I think I just soon have a round of blackjack. You got just as good a chance of getting a good answer. I'm not a fan of hair analysis, and if y'all like them, great, go for it. I think it's smoke, mirrors, and bull, but that's me.
Okay, and I'm going to, because we're running out of time here, I'm going to combine these questions because they are kind of interesting of who wrote what, but we have one answer for both, kind of. Alice wants to know what supplements are best for immunity. But then I have Cindy that wants to know the difference between colloidal silver with 10 parts per million and 30 parts per million. And she said 20 is not the answer she's looking for. LOL. So could you explain about what products are best for immunity, and then tell us about colloidal silver a little bit? And
since I'm such a rebellious spirit, I'm going to start backwards. And my wife loves me anyway, because I dreamed about her and her joy this morning. I've never been a really big fan of colloidal silver because it was always my understanding, and I've been to massive amount of seminars with doctors much smarter than me. Yeah, maybe not, but some of them probably are, that agree they don't like silver because it's potentially toxic. and it'll kill your good bacteria. So I finally found one, and I did read the research, 3 independently done university studies that says this particular colloidal silver does not kill the probiotics. It only goes after the pathogenic microorganisms. And I talked to the president of the company. He said, and I don't know why it doesn't kill your probiotics. And he says these 3 universities, none of them know why it doesn't. So I don't know. And we had this discussion the other day with another patient. It's like, I don't know. I'm not a biochemist. If you're happy making it at home, go right ahead. But I would never do it because maybe I don't have enough chemistry or physics to pull it off. But the only company I trust is the ASAP HCP HealthMax 30, but it's 30 parts per million. But it's not the same, 10, 20, or 30. It depends on the form. So personally, I'd say be careful. Now, as far as what supplements to take to help your body, have the raw materials to fight for itself, one of my favorite, we don't talk about much, is GI Immune, and it has the AC11, which is a water-soluble cat's claw, which is way, 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 way more effective than regular cat's claw. And then it has a arabinogalactin, which is from the larch tree. It's a water-soluble polysaccharide. It's a prebiotic, postbiotic. It helps. It's an immune system booster. So GI Immune's good. We've got vitamin A that if you do 1 drop per day, you'll still have it when the expiration date goes out, which it's still good.
It lasts 1 year. That bottle lasts 1 year, actually, if you do 1 drop a day.
Yeah, a long, long time. I didn't know how long, but vitamin A is good. Vitamin D is imperative. Just take a good multi, because our multi has the Trax minerals in it, and the good like B12's methylcobalamin, not the cheap cyano. If B12 says cyano, throw it back on the shelf. It's got the activated B6, 5-MTHF. So good multi covers a lot of sins. And there's all kinds of other ones that help your body boost its immune system. Just the simple B vitamins would help. I think like you were telling different patients when they couldn't get zinc, they could do active multi-minerals because it has zinc in it. Yeah, and then it's got the other things. I mean, selenium's very important. It's got a good ratio of things. And that way, to further address Elena's question, maybe too much magnesium is a bad thing, but I generally tell people to take a multi-mineral and take up, it covers a lot of sin, so to speak.
And again, we've come to the end of our show. This is where I generally will tell you to get lab done. I understand right now during this time you probably don't want to be in a lab with a lot of people. So what we're encouraging for you to do is just stay on the programs we gave you. If you don't know what to take because you've never heard of us or don't know where to start, you can always call or email our office, because Dr. Lewis and myself can help guide you towards some supplements that'll help keep you healthy through this time. And, fill out the health survey online at greenwisdomhealth.com, where we know a little bit more about you and know how to guide you. And Dr. Lewis is going to leave us with some closing words.
Yeah, I hope you go back and re-listen to this to think about the joy-filled things, to think about the good things. You put it in your mind, you put it in your spirit, you put it in your body, and it manifests as better health. I would like for you to think about this, though, in closing. We never know how far-reaching something we may think, say, or do today will affect millions of lives tomorrow. It's better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. Get the big idea. All else follows.
And we hope you guys have a blessed week. Stay strong, stay happy, don't worry, and we'll be here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You are only one step away from a life worth living.